Hello friends, in this video we will be learning figures of speech. What is figure of speech? A figure of speech is a poetic device which consists of words and phrases in such a manner as to make the meaning more pointed, clear and language more graphic and vivid. Some important figure of speech are simile, metaphor, personification, alliteration, repetition, antithesis, oxymoron, interrogation, climax, anticlimax, transfer epithet, hyperball, euphemism, apostrophe, irony, epigram, paradox, onomatopoeia, tautology, etc. Let us start with first figure of speech, that is simile. In simile, comparison is made between two different objects and we use words like and as in simile. For example, they fight like Tom and Jerry. Here we are comparing their fight with the fight of Tom and Jerry by using word like in the sentence. So this is example of simile. Next sentence is life is like a dream. We are comparing life with a dream. So this is example of simile. Next figure of speech is metaphor. A metaphor is an implied simile. For example, camel is ship of desert. Here we are not comparing camel with ship. Instead, we are declaring camel as ship of desert. So this is example of metaphor. Second one is life is a dream. We are not comparing life with a dream. Instead, we are declaring life as a dream. And so this is metaphor. Now let us see what is the difference between simile and metaphor. In simile, we say life is like a dream. But in metaphor, we say life is a dream. In simile, we say her smile is as bright as sunshine. But in metaphor, the same sentence becomes her smile is sunshine. In simile, we say Tanaji fought like a lion in the battle. But in metaphor, we say Tanaji was a lion in the battle. So, in simile, we compare two objects by using words like and as, but in metaphor, we don't use like and as. Instead, we declare one thing as other. Next one is personification. In personification, inanimate objects, non-living things, and abstract notions are spoken as if having life and intelligence. For example, the daffodils were dancing. Now, daffodils are non-living objects. How can they dance like human beings? So, this is example of personification. Next one is death lays his icy hands on kings. So death is an abstract notion and how can it lay its icy hands? So this is again example of personification. Next one is alliteration. Sound of letter is repeated pleasantly for creating a poetic effect. In this sentence, a big bug bite the little beetle, but the little beetle bite the big bug back. Here you can see sound of letter B is repeated to create a better poetic effect. So this is example of alliteration. Second sentence is go and gather the green grass. Here you can see sound of letter G is repeated. Next one is repetition. Words are repeated for better poetic effect. Like Johnny, Johnny, yes papa. Here Johnny, Johnny, this word is repeated. So this is repetition. Next sentence is rain, rain, go away. In this sentence, we are repeating the word rain. This is example of repetition. Antithesis. striking opposite words or sentiments are placed side by side in a single statement. For example, silver is speech but silence is golden. Here, speech and silence are opposite words and they are placed in a single sentence. So this is example of antithesis. Next example is it was the best of times, it was the worst of times. Here, best and worst are opposite words and they are placed in a single sentence. This is example of antithesis. Next one is oxymoron. In oxymoron, two opposite words are placed next to one another. For example, the Joker was seriously funny. So, seriously and funny, they are opposite words and they are placed next to one another. So, this is example of oxymoron. Second sentence is Ram's sister is pretty ugly. Pretty and ugly, they are two opposite words but they are placed next to one another in the same sentence. So, this is example of oxymoron. Next figure of speech is interrogation. A rhetorical question is asked not with the intention of receiving answer but for a better dramatic effect. For example, am I your servant? This question is asked not with the intention of receiving answer but for a better dramatic effect. Next example is when can their glory fade? This is also example of interrogation. Next figure of speech is climax. Words are arranged in an ascending order of importance. For example, he came, he saw, he conquered. This is climax. Next one is Ram worked for days, months and years on this project. This is also example of climax. Next figure of speech is anticlimax. Ideas are arranged in descending order of importance and anticlimax is totally opposite of climax. Like for example, Ram has been working for years, months and days. Next sentence is Ravi lost his house, car, his luggage and his pen. So this is example of anticlimax. Next one is transfer epithet. An adjective is transferred from one person to another object that is closely associated to it. For example, Ravina stepped on a restless bed. So here, restless is an adjective which is transferred from him to bed. Next example is, it was a happy morning for me. So happy is adjective and is transferred to morning. These are example of transfer epithet. Next figure of speech is hyperbole. It is an over exaggerated statement. For example, Sheetal cried oceans of tears. So this is over exaggerated statement. Next example is I saw billions of stars in the sky. This is again example of over exaggerated statement. So this is hyperbole. Next figure of speech is euphemism. Harsh reality is expressed in a mild way. For example, you are telling me a fairy tale. That means you are telling me a lie. Next example is Ravi left for heavenly adopt. That is, he passed away. Next figure of speech is apostrophe. A direct address is made to an abstract, dead or absent person or entity. For example, twinkle, twinkle, little star. Now here, stars, they are non-living objects and we are addressing them. So this is example of apostrophe. Next one is blow winds, please blow. So this is also example of apostrophe. Next figure of speech is irony. Real meaning is exactly opposite of what which is literally conveyed. For example, Shylock is an honorable man. And is he is smart. Now, epigram, interesting, memorable, and sometimes surprising statements. So let us see, for example, the child is the father of man. This is example of epigram which will make you think. Next example is no pain, no gain. Next figure of speech is onomatopoeia. In this sound is expressed through a word. For example, chirp, whistle, ding dong, etc. Second one is I hear thunder, I hear thunder. So here, like sounds of chirping, whistling, ding dong, they are expressed by words. So this is example of onomatopoeia. Next figure of speech is tautology. Two words have same meaning. For example, the teacher was happy and merry. So here, happy and merry have same meaning. Next one is lemongrass is useful and beneficial. So useful and beneficial have same meaning. So this is example of tautology. Thank you for watching my video. Please subscribe the channel.